Good afternoon and welcome to a pre-recording for a Homeboys extra show around the Damn Justice campaign. You should have been hearing Liam, otherwise known as Brummy Boy, but unfortunately Liam wasn't able to gain access to the Kerrydale suite due to the queue pre-match. So he very kindly passed me his transcript for the interview, so you're hearing me instead of Liam. In this interview we have Christian Visser, the attorney responsible for representing the lads who were arrested in Amsterdam, and Eddie Toner, who needs no introduction. The purpose of the Homeboys Extra show is to enable us to interview a special guest who's here for today's game against Dundee. Hail, hail, and welcome to Christian Visser.
Thank you very much.
For anybody who isn't aware, Christian is a Dutch attorney specialising in criminal law. He's dealt with a number of cases involving football fans in particular, and he's represented fans of the Dutch national team as well as fans of other clubs arrested in Holland such as AC Milan, PAOK, Celtic, hopefully no Chelsea. Christian, have you ever represented Chelsea fans?
No,
good, yay! Eddie agrees to stay at this point. Just in case anybody's not familiar with the background to this story, here is a brief recap of events. On November the 6th, 2013, there were disturbances in Amsterdam city centre during which a number of Celtic fans were arrested. Initial coverage of the incident made TV and media headlines, but to many Celtic fans the images they were seeing and the reports of the violence just simply didn't add up, given their own experiences of following the team both at home and abroad, and the selective reporting of our media, both around football fans generally and of Celtic fans in particular. After the match, more reports emerged detailing the number of arrests made, but footage also emerged of the violence and also stories of Dutch police working undercover. This was confirmed by media footage, although some of this footage was later removed by broadcasters. Mobile phone footage was also instantly available. The number of arrests seemed shocking. There were some fans fined and released, some bailed pending trial, some bailed after refusing to pay fines, and two supporters, Padraig Mullen and Andy Vance, who were held in custody. Many of those fined accessed money to get out of Amsterdam as soon as possible, but also on the advice of duty solicitors. It became clear to those Celtic fans who were concerned about the events and the portrayal of our support that those being held and those facing trial needed specialist legal advice. Christian Visser was recommended and contacted. Christian agreed to take on the cases of those still facing charges. He immediately began working with those fans facing trial and the wider group of fans who were liaising with the Celtic Trust and FAC to help their fellow supporters. Christian, before we talk about the case itself, could you just answer maybe some questions on the build-up to the date? As a resident of Amsterdam and also an Ajax fan, what were the expectations in the city prior to the game of potential trouble? Was there any concerns raised before Celtic fans arrived that day?
No, not that much. No, I think some problems can occur during Champions League games in Amsterdam, but Celtic wasn't a high expectation of problems.
So even with the numbers of fans that were in Amsterdam that day, people didn't think, there's going to be riots involving Celtic fans?
No, because in the Netherlands, the fans have a good name in the Netherlands as well. So,
okay,
yeah.
And had there been much trouble previously with other fans?
Yes, there have been some troubles. European games are mostly more troubled than domestic games in Amsterdam.
Right, interesting, okay. What was the initial reaction of the locals and yourself when you heard about the incidents and saw some of the footage?
Well, I thought the riots were quite of a big scale, but I directly spoke to people who witnessed the incident, and they already told me directly, they called me at the moment, and they already told me directly that the police were out of order at that moment. So they witnessed that. One of the people I spoke to already also filmed the incident, and he directly told me that the police were out of order at that moment.
Right. And what was the Dutch TV coverage like of the so-called riots?
Well, they firstly blamed the fence, like they always did, and then over the time they started seeing that the way police interrupted work wasn't good either, so that changed during the week after.
Right, so people's perceptions in Amsterdam changed once they seen some of the TV coverage?
Yes, because there was some coverage also of like the police brutality, and then the opinion changed. But there will always be people that blame the fence.
Right. In Holland as well as in Scotland?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right, okay. And was it a sympathetic media in the Netherlands to Celtic fans?
In the beginning not, but afterwards yes. After a few days, there were people who were sympathetic with Celtic, and they also say, if we look at the history of Celtic fans, we can see they never caused trouble, so how can it happen that in Amsterdam there were so many trouble?
That's originally what people thought over here, Eddie, that something isn't quite right here, something doesn't add up.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody knows that, in terms of travelling abroad, the Celtic fans have a reputation second to none. They've had plaudits for it, they've had awards for it in the past, and just not known as troublemakers. We like to go, we're loud, we have a few beers, and we make a lot of noise, but we don't go looking for trouble. And I was in Amsterdam that night, and when news started coming through to me about the so-called riots, I was just astounded that we would be involved in anything of that scale. And it was only in the subsequent days did you realise that something had clearly gone wrong, and it seemed to be initiated by the actions of the Dutch police. And there was a reaction to that. But
what did you think of the media coverage here? Did you think it was accurate?
The media coverage here initially was appalling, because they just, preaching to the converted here, but anybody knows that the media in this country are no friendly towards Celtic, never have been, probably never will, and they're always looking for a stick to beat football fans and Celtic fans in particular. And the initial reaction was about Celtic fans rioting and causing mayhem and havoc, but I think, like Christian just says as well, as was the case in Amsterdam, as things started to develop and unfold, the media started to report perhaps a bit more accurately. And I think a lot of that was down in the supporters organisation at Celtic shining the spotlight back on the media and getting the truth out there very quickly. And the level of support we got for the Celtic fans too, that was incredible.
And is that an important part of what you do, Christian? Do you think about how something's being reported in the media? Does that help the defence at times?
It helps, but at the end of the day, a judge or a court will always look at the incident itself, where the fan is charged with. So obviously it plays a role that Celtic fans never caused trouble.
That
helped, but at the end of the day, a judge will look at a certain incident and he has to judge if that incident is a crime. And if it's not, he has to acquit.
Right, okay. Christian has worked with the media in both the Netherlands and also Scotland in order to change the narrative and to put the fans' case to the wider public. The Dam Justice campaign was launched to support the Dambhoys and to ensure that the campaign for justice would be supported financially. An evidence gathering session was held in St Mary's, the spiritual home of the club, where fans were able to give witness statements about the events and those facing trial were able to give their views. Padraig and Andy were still being held, and their cases were given widespread coverage in social media and in the wider press. With the support of Celtic Football Club, a bucket collection was held at Celtic Park in which tens of thousands of pounds was raised for the campaign. Celtic also appointed a Dutch lawyer to pursue compensation cases against the Amsterdam police for those who were injured. This is ongoing. So, getting into the trials, we won't go too much into the actual charges here, but getting into the trials, based on your previous experience of working in the Dutch judicial system and the Dutch police in court, what were your expectations of the trials? Did you think
Well,
lads were going to walk free, or what did you think was going to happen?
Well, if a policeman gives evidence in a court case in the Netherlands, the statement of one policeman could be enough for a conviction. It's always very hard to battle a statement of a policeman. And in all the cases against the Celtic fans, there was a policeman claiming that some Celtic fan threw something or punched someone. So you always have a lot of work to do to get to acquittal in a certain case. But yeah, on 3 cases we already could prove that it didn't happen, and the fans were acquitted. So, but yeah, it's hard work.
Hard work. The word of the policeman going against the word. Was that different policemen in each case?
Yes.
Yeah, so it wasn't a single policeman.
No.
Right. Okay. And I remember when the verdicts came out that day. I think one of your colleagues put on 8,000 Twitter followers in a day, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
All of whom were based in Glasgow, Belfast and Dublin.
Yes. And a lot of them are still following his Dutch tweets.
Oh. I've not got a Scooby.
I think I stopped following him. It was nothing personal, but I just couldn't understand the Dutch.
Aye. Please, it's nothing personal. At the first trial, 5 were handed jail terms and 1 was acquitted. All were released on bail and immediately submitted appeals. Andy and Padraig were able to return home for the first time, having been in custody since November the 6th. At the trial, police evidence was accepted over the mountain of video evidence which Christian and Dam Justice had gathered. The acquittal only happened because the fan had contacted his partner and had mobile phone records to prove this. When, according to police, he was apparently assaulting them, he was actually already locked up in a police van, the victim of their indiscriminate sweep to clear Dam Square and the ensuing violence. We watched what was being said via Twitter that day, and like many fans, I was shocked at the verdicts. Were you surprised, or did you think that there was a strong possibility that those verdicts would be handed down?
Yeah, there was a possibility, but still I was disappointed about them because I think the court didn't look at it closely enough because it was a speed trial, so it all went very fast. And in this case, I would say that the judge couldn't judge the whole situation from the research he has done before the trial, so there wasn't enough. So yes, I was disappointed, but I do think there's better chances in the future.
I seem to remember that in the days following the verdict, I think you might have tweeted something out about, does the judge actually watch YouTube? Does he have a computer?
Yeah, well,
or maybe you don't want to recall that.
No, I do. It's still on my Twitter account. No, it was about the mayor, because the mayor, obviously the police also realized that things went wrong, so they made a report, the police themselves, about the police. So what happens then is that the police says, yeah, the police did very well, according to the police. Yeah. So then and the mayor said, yes, I read the report of the police and I believe the police did it well. So and then I said, I think the mayor should have a look on YouTube, because then you can see what really happened, and then you can't say the police did well.
Yeah. And I mean, we've both, Eddie, looked at all of the footage on YouTube, and I'm always astonished at how the verdicts could possibly be handed down given what we viewed on YouTube, and some of the individual cases like Porrig's trying to push the crowd back, asking them to go back. You've seen the footage.
Absolutely.
Were you shocked?
Yeah, I remember following the whole event on Twitter as well, and it was really frustrating because we never really had a sense of what was going on. I can remember being incredulous, actually, I haven't seen all the video footage and spoke to most of the guys, and prior to it, and